sides. It is very clearly Brockler's plates that are expired.
Could have been either, Joel.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, you're good. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Caroline Frizzell. I'm the Director of Communication and Public Affairs for Douglas County. Thank you all for being here today, as we're going to hear from several elected officials on a safety topic that's really important as we all get into the holiday spirit. We'll hear from our Board of Douglas County Commissioners, Sheriff Weekly, DA Brockler, and at the end, of course, we'll take your questions. So with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Abe Layden, who is our Chair of the Board of Douglas County Commissioners.
Great. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We certainly appreciate you being here as we talk about a very important issue, especially around Christmas and the holidays. A recent editorial in the Denver Gazette highlighted the issue of shoplifting in Colorado. In fact, law enforcement agencies recorded more than 27,000 shoplifting incidents in 2024, which is a 22% increase over 2023. And according to the Loss Prevention Research Council, nearly 89% of retail theft incidents go unreported. This has tremendous impact on our economy. Retail crimes cost Colorado businesses $1.4 billion with a B in 2022. That's statewide. So for today, I'm really honored to be joined by our Board of County Commissioners and our respected elected official colleagues, as well as our county council, because the message that we have in Douglas County to the community is that ending the look the other way era begins today. We're not going to allow a culture where people walk out of a store with a stack of drills and nobody says a word. That era is over in Douglas County. We also want to protect honest customers. Every unreported theft drives up prices for hardworking families, and obviously right now in our economy, it's not always easy for every family to afford day-to-day goods, let alone holiday shopping and Christmas presents. So we're putting an end to the era of silent losses that get passed on to the community. We also want to emphasize what our sheriff and our DA have mentioned to us this entire year and for many years before that around safe businesses and safe communities. Our message is simple. If you steal in Douglas County, you will be held accountable. And if you operate a business here, we are thankful for your partnership to help be a part of the solution. And finally, we want to fix what's broken. Right now, some stores are absorbing, again, billions in losses rather than reporting crimes. We're closing that loophole and restoring order. So we're here today to tell you that we are serious about addressing these issues in Douglas County. The Board of Douglas County Commissioners is charged with the health, safety, and welfare of the 400,000 citizens that we collectively represent. So that's why in 2025, we added 10 new Douglas County Sheriff's Office deputies, 6 new prosecutors for the 23rd Judicial District's DA office, for a total of 640 people working in the Sheriff's Office and 110 in our 23rd Judicial District. We don't just talk about public safety, we are committed to that through resources and the decisions of this board. Crime is down in Douglas County overall, but we do not ever settle when it comes to the safety of our community. Today, we're going to talk specifically about shoplifting in Douglas County, how we plan to stand out from those statewide statistics. And again, we don't tolerate shoplifting in Douglas County. We protect our retailers and we protect our citizens and citizens that are shopping. Later, we're going to announce our board's plan to further address this crime in Douglas County. But first, I'm pleased and honored to welcome up our Sheriff Darren Weekly.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Shoplifting in Douglas County is actually slightly up this year, and it's been going slightly up every year. And while we can expect some of that with the increase in population in Douglas County and around Douglas County, we want to be able to drive back down those numbers. And that requires partnerships between our business community and with law enforcement. I want to make it absolutely clear that we will respond and we will take action for all retail theft. When businesses report theft, we will respond quickly and decisively. If we have probable cause to believe the offender committed a crime, they don't just get a ticket with a notice to appear. They get taken into custody and transported to the Douglas County Jail for booking. And while some agencies in Colorado may not even respond to some shoplifting calls, Douglas County absolutely does. And that commitment is why we've caught numerous offenders over the past few years and why we've prevented what I think is many retail organized theft groups from coming back into Douglas County because they know it's not just catch and release. I want to thank all of our merchants, to include many of our corporate partners, for the relationship that we have built together over the years to keep Douglas County safe. And we've built that trust together, and they trust us when we respond how that call for service is going to be handled. And their willingness to report these crimes and other incidents allow us to take action to protect the customers, the employees, and the bottom line of that business. We welcome any measure that strengthens our ability to hold offenders accountable and to help us better protect local businesses and protect from organized retail theft. Douglas County is a community that stands together when it comes to public safety. And as long as I am the sheriff, we will continue to enforce the law, to support our retailers, and to ensure those who steal, I need to emphasize, those who choose to steal in Douglas County face real consequences. And now I'd like to introduce the 23rd Judicial District District Attorney, George Brockler.
Please stay seated. Was that an issue? Hey, I'm George Brockler. I'm the District Attorney for the 23rd. It was almost a year ago to the day, I think it was December the 14th of 2024, that we stood in this room right here with all of these people behind me and a whole bunch more to express the idea that this new 23rd Judicial District was going to be different. It was going to take a different approach to protecting our citizenry and those that choose to live, work, and play down here in this jurisdiction. And to that end, what I had strongly recommended to folks that were listening, and you're a great vehicle for that, is that my first best advice to you is to follow the law. My second best advice is, if you can't or you refuse to follow the law, break it somewhere else. And that's why we put up this graphic right here, to highlight the roads that you take to drive around our jurisdiction, because you will spend less time in the car avoiding us than you will in Sheriff Weekly's jail if you break our laws. And so when we're here today to talk about retail theft, the timing is no accident. It's about a year from that last press conference, but it's also at a time when we know that retail theft is a singular issue that businesses deal with as they try to, I think, grab up as much business as they can during the holiday season. Let me tell you where we are in terms of the laws. As you have all witnessed over the past, I'd say 6 to 10 years, there has been a weakening of our laws when it comes to protecting the property rights of others, whether it's individuals like us or businesses or even government. Where that has shown up is in a decrease in the penalties for theft. And they do that in part by increasing the dollar value it takes to achieve a higher level charge. The other thing the legislature has done is to say that if you steal up to $1,000 worth of things from anybody, any business entity, any person in this room, that you must be given a PR bond, a personal recognizance bond, by the court. Now, what that has manifested itself into in other jurisdictions is a culture of summonsing, of writing tickets like you would for a speeder for people who shoplift, because a lot of shoplifting takes place under $1,000. That culture is a failed culture. It hasn't worked. That's why you see the CSI numbers that show $1.3, $1.4 billion in losses. We wanted to take a different approach. And so the approach that I pitched about a year ago was, we're going to try to arrest everybody. You steal from us, expect to go to jail. That's not a light switch that you flip. That's a real logistical investment by the municipalities that provide us protection, Lone Tree, Castle Rock, Parker. It's a real commitment of resources by the Sheriff's Office, and I will tell you that the commissioners behind us have all said we're all in on that commitment of resources. I have numbers to express to you how things are changing and how they have changed in this jurisdiction just over the last year. We have an increased conviction rate on our theft cases of over 30% over this period of time last year. Now remember, we inherit a lot of cases from the jurisdiction that existed before us, the 18th. These aren't all cases that started and stopped with us. There is a dismissal rate in jurisdictions, and many jurisdictions, in fact, most of the metro area jurisdictions, have a plan where when someone gets theft, if they come into the courthouse and say, I'll take a theft class, or do some other minimal type of probation, they'll dismiss the charge against them. So many of the people that we come across down here are repeat thieves, but they don't have prior convictions. That ends. So our dismissal rate, we have decreased by over 40% just in less than a year that we've had so far. We have a 143% increase in the number of theft defendants who have received some type of incarceration. That's real. That matters. We're going to play a couple clips here of some videos that were captured by, I think, in order, Castle Rock out at the outlet malls, and by Parker, just outside of a Kohl's out there, to highlight the commitment and sort of the cooperation that all of law enforcement in this jurisdiction has that I think allow us to stand out from other parts of the metro area. And am I pointing to you for that first clip? This first clip is Castle Rock PD. This is a suspect who is trying to flee law enforcement and I believe the outlet malls. Is that this one? I don't think so. I thought that one was during the day. Maybe this is Parker. That one feels like a daytime one. Yeah.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Show me your hands!
He doesn't want to be
Hands
arrested.
on the grip! 44. Put your hands up! Hands up! Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
44, vehicle just rammed to state patrol vehicle. Yep. He's up. Starbucks now, that's right here. He's going to be slowed down from the rock. Damn it! Oh, he's one of the mall. East side, east side. 44, east side of the mall.
Probably recognize the outlet malls right by us.
Confirming, is there an officer that...
That defendant right there, for a number of reasons, including his very dangerous conduct here and trying to flee police who are trying to hold him accountable, is he got 13 years in the Department of Corrections. They weren't just going to let him drive away and put out some sort of a warrant or a bolo. They were going to stop him and stop him right there. This next clip that we have comes from the Parker Police Department, and there were two guys that were pushing a cart full of goods outside of a Kohl's. In other parts of the metro area, someone would have held the door for them and said, stay warm, drive safely, see you next time. Not in Parker. And I think if we have that clip, let's play how that turned out. And sound on that one for sure.
Hey! Get out of... Hey, hold here. Hey! Get on the ground. Please stop! I'm sorry, man. Logan, we're coming out to the front. Out to the front. Please stop! Stop! Going towards Chili's. Please stop! Stop! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Going west side of Chili's. Tase his ass!
Hey, please stop right there!
Get down! No, we're done. They're trying to kill me! Help me! Get out! Out! Hey! Stop! I'm sorry. I didn't do nothing. Don't f***ing move, dude. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. I promise. Cameron. You serious? Cameron. Stop moving! Cameron. Cameron. Stop. Okay. I'm done. Give me your hand. All right, stop! I'm not moving, I promise. I'm not moving. Help! I'm not moving. Help!
We're inside Chili's.
Record this, please.
Yes, we are recording this.
Help.
Stop it. Stop acting out.
I'm sorry. Help!
Stop acting
I
out.
didn't
We're
do
here to
nothing.
help you.
What? I didn't do nothing.
Then why are you running?
I got scared.
Scared of what?
Huh?
Scared of what?
I don't know. I just heard, hey. I was in there walking around. Help!
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, shut up.
Help!
We hear you.
Help! Help!
He's got
My
nothing.
face! Help!
Yeah, big knife.
Help me! Help! Help!
Ain't nobody doing anything to you.
Look!
Look.
Come on! Stop!
You hear the clapping? Those are the people inside the Chili's. That's just two examples. There's plenty more that don't have nearly the exciting body cam, but that is the approach that law enforcement here is taking to crack down on people who see us as a poachable community, as an affluent community that we exist for them to enrich themselves for their selfish reasons. And that's going to end. It's been ending. I will tell you that right now we're on pace to exceed the number of theft arrests that we have in the sheriff's jail by about 20%. We're on pace this year, and I expect that number to increase because we have increased awareness. And you should know we've previously had, in fact, Chief Cawley was there, the sheriff was there, I was there. We had a retail theft summit with most of the major retail outlets earlier this year. And the word that we heard initially was, we just don't call the police because we don't think you guys are coming. And each of these gentlemen pledged, we are coming, we will be there. And so what we have seen is an increased, a very positive relationship, increased contact, not perfect and not where we need to be, but certainly on the right path. And that's why we're seeing the increase in these things. I told you before that the legislature has weakened our laws by mandating these PR bonds. I want to be clear about what this jurisdiction does that's different. We don't summons you for theft in almost every case. There will always be exceptions for logistics and other things, but in almost every case, we don't summons you. And when you're arrested and you go to the jail, we don't cut you loose with a PR bond. We let the judge give you the PR bond. That means you spend at least one night in jail, usually more than that. That's the difference that we have here. And it's led me to want to continue to push this message out with the help of all the law enforcement officers and the commissioners behind us. This is the back of my business card, and this is the message I want all the would-be thieves to have over this holiday season. And I make this pledge to you right now, and I've spoken with my folks about it. Over this holiday season, if you are arrested for theft, if you are even summoned for theft in this jurisdiction over the holidays, absent some ethical issue or an evidentiary issue, there will be no outcome of your case that does not involve us seeking jail against you. That is going to happen. And so let me flip this around and give you the other side of the card. That's it right there. If you come down here to steal from us, plan on staying. Plan on staying. We'll have more numbers as we get close to that one-year anniversary on January the 14th, and we're going to continue down this road. And as people in the public have questions about what we're doing, I hope they come forward and ask. And to any employer that's out there right now that questions whether or not we're committed to this process, reach out to Kohl's. Reach out to the outlet malls. Reach out to Park Meadows. They know we're serious. You call to protect your clientele and protect your property, and we'll be right there with you. Hey, it's my honor to introduce a fellow Army veteran, although you can't tell from the facial hair. His name is also George, one of the strongest names out there in government. I think we can all agree upon that. It is Commissioner George Teal.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it, brother. Tell me again how we got to the planning point where I get to follow Brockler. My name is George Teal. I am Douglas County Commissioner from the 2nd Commissioner District. As you have heard from our law enforcement, we will address this crime when we know about it. If we don't know about it, we can't address it. As commissioners, one of our roles is to draft local laws that benefit our community and allow law enforcement to do their jobs. We know our local retailers have a great relationship with our local law enforcement, and that's how it should be. We also know that many local storefronts are taking their cues from corporate headquarters in places like New York and San Francisco, where liberal policies allow for lawlessness. They're telling their employees not to call about shoplifting, and then we can't address it for our communities. To talk more about what we can do, I'd like to introduce my fellow commissioner, Kevin Van Winkle.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. So later today, we are planning to introduce a new local ordinance to address this very issue. We plan to propose an ordinance that will further our partnership with business leaders to increase the reporting of these crimes and to keep our shopping centers safe in Douglas County. The goal of this ordinance is to change corporate policies that could retaliate against their own employees for simply reporting theft. The ordinance will be introduced during the regular business meeting right after this press conference, so please stay here in this very room beginning at 1:30 where we will introduce the ordinance. This formal introduction begins our robust community engagement effort to see what our residents and businesses think of the idea. We'll host a retail summit and gather input. Then, at a later date, much later, a couple weeks, couple months maybe, we will announce a second reading to the ordinance where we can then vote on its final passage. With that, I'll turn it back over to our board chair, Commissioner Abe Layden, for questions.
Great, thank you so much. And again, it's interesting, in my 7th year as commissioner, people often ask, how is Douglas County so prosperous? And it's not some magic secret that we're not sharing. The reality is when we invest in public safety, there's not just a perception, but a reality that Douglas County is safe. That leads to increases in home values, more demand for people wanting to come here. And of course, that leads to our county having more resources to be able to protect all of our citizens. So it's a self-reinforcing system. I'm honored to be the chairman of the Metro Area County Commissioners, all large 7 counties. The goal is that all counties in the metro area, regardless of your background or political persuasion, put public safety first so that we can really elevate our communities and protect our citizens. With that, thank you so much to all of the distinguished members of the press for joining us today. We'll open it up for any questions from any of you. Yes, sir. Noah.
Hey, actually, this is more for Sheriff Weekly, if he wants to step up. You mentioned in the ordinance that the sheriff's office is going to be enforcing fines on businesses who don't respond or don't report within 96 hours. How is the sheriff's office going to do that if businesses don't report?
Well, if events come to our attention that we need to engage on, if we have a business that is simply looking the other way, which results in additional calls for service for us to respond to, that's when this would come into effect. So there would be some incidents that would have to take place for us to be able to follow up on in order for us to take action.
No, that's a really good question, and I'm just going to add it. The sheriff is 100% correct. Most of this is about our goal not to penalize the business community in any way, but really to make sure that those corporate policies coming out of Chicago, LA, and San Francisco, at least when it relates to our local jurisdiction, they do have a policy local to our law that we're passing hopefully later today, that if you do see a crime, that you don't go out into the parking lot and try to fight somebody, but report it to law enforcement and help us do our jobs. Additional questions? Yeah.
If you'll humor me for 2, I'll just try to be real quick, and I don't know if this is for you, Commissioner, or if it'd be for the sheriff. Again, the idea of a fine, $50 a day, up to $1,000, if these are businesses that are willing to let thousands of dollars of merchandise walk out the door, why do you think a $1,000 maximum fine would be a deterrent?
It's not necessarily a deterrent, but what happens at the corporate level is they institute policies at their larger national headquarters to comply with local government regulations. So that's the goal. Just change those larger corporate policies as it relates to Douglas County so that your managers within the big box stores cooperate and work with law enforcement to protect them from losses. It's really, again, a measure that we think supports not only citizens but the business community. Anything else, Sheriff? Okay. Additional, Marty, any other?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. And one more, this is specific for Commissioner Van Winkle. In the state legislature, when you were a representative, you voted against a bill that would have required gun owners to report if their gun was lost or stolen. So why were you against requiring a person to report if a gun is stolen, but you want to require a business to report if merchandise is stolen?
Well, the law passed by the majority Democrats in the state legislature simply re-victimized an already victim. So if a home was broken into and you have several items missing, among them being a firearm, the police then come after that person and charge that person. That doesn't make sense. The goal here is to protect the employees that want to report crime because they see theft day after day, and yet that employee could be retaliated against by their corporation. That's not right, and we don't want that here.
Marshall, thanks for those questions. Any additional questions from the press? Marshall, you have another one? Yeah, we'll take it.
The examples you showed, Parker, Castle Rock, you mentioned Park Meadows, Lone Tree, none of those would be impacted by this because those are responded to by police departments, and this would impact the Douglas County Sheriff's Office in unincorporated Douglas County. So what kind of stores are we talking about that you think, like, are there Home Depot, forgive me for not knowing the geography, but are there Home Depots or big box stores in these areas that you have control over?
Yeah, absolutely. So we represent unincorporated Douglas County, but certainly all of Douglas County. As has been the case for many years in our community, we have a great partnership with the municipalities. It's not our goal to get ahead of the cities that we work so closely with today, but oftentimes when we emphasize public safety, we have found partnership with the municipalities to adopt parallel regulations and ordinances to make sure that we're uniform as a county. Again, I don't want to get ahead of our cities, but certainly that's our goal, is to continue this public safety emphasis throughout both incorporated and unincorporated Douglas County. Any additional questions? Okay. Well, not seeing any other questions from the press. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to close up and move into our 1:30 meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.